Welcome to another episode of One for the Table.
I'm Jon Kang.
And this is Kimchi. And this week, Jon is visiting LA still, again, over and over again.
I'm still here.
He's still in LA.
Now I'm just staying with Kim. I was in a hotel before, but now I'm just here. Kim's a little salty right now because I ruined the most recent episode of Drag Race for her. I had no idea.
Jon likes to do this thing where he would just like randomly blurt out like, oh, so-and-so was eliminated. And I'm like, why would you just blurt that out? I was waiting to watch that episode. It's the same thing when I was like watching Top Chef before. While watching, he's like, oh, so-and-so wins. And I'm like, why would you say that? I'm like in the middle of watching it.
Wait, which is so funny because like I don't think I've ever watched an episode of Top Chef before.
That's even worse. You don't even watch it, and then why are you putting your 2 cents in when I'm watching it and trying to like feel my goods?
And
just ruining it for me for no reason. I don't have that many joys in life, and you take away the few joys that I have. It's not funny.
It's really funny. I wasn't even like I wasn't even talking.
I'm just gonna spoil the ending for you now. Like, oh, I'm playing this game. I'm gonna Google the ending and just like straight up tell you what happens at the end.
See, I'm not the type of person that gets like upset about spoilers, really, because I take so long to catch up on any kind of pop culture or media or TV shows or anything that like oftentimes.
Oh, you're so cool. Oh, you don't keep up with pop culture. You're so cool.
I'm just really slow to catch on to things. And so I wasn't even like spoiling the Drag Race thing for the sake of spoiling it. I was literally just like scrolling through Threads, the new Twitter thing. And I was just reading a headline out loud, not even thinking about it, because I saw Candy Muse and Jimbo's picture on it. So I recognized it. I was like, oh, I'm just going to read this headline. And I read it out loud, and it just happened to be the spoiler for the finale.
Someone doesn't even watch the show. Also, we don't even ever talk about Drag Race. And then for some reason, Jon thought today was like a good time to just randomly blurt out what's eliminated on tonight's episode that I haven't watched yet, that I was waiting to see.
But you also, like, based on the few times we did talk about Drag Race, specifically this season, you didn't really seem too invested in it to me.
No, because I don't talk about it to you because you don't watch it. Why would I passionately talk about a reality show that you're not watching?
Why? Is this a good season?
The season, has its ups and downs, but for every season of Drag Race, there's some sort of like entertaining moments,
True. And I don't know. I really do like Jimbo, just based on the past couple of seasons that they've been on there. But so yeah, Kim was really, really upset. She was driving, so basically she drove into the middle of the street and killed us all, essentially, with butter in the car.
Fuck you and fuck you.
Anyway, best of luck to the finalists. Who do you want to win?
When it comes to like who do I want to win, I genuinely don't care because like every person that goes on it, like they're a queer artist with a dream.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't like public saying like so and so should win because I know what it's like being in that end, and
yeah,
like the feelings do get hurt. Like if you're that person and like some alumni from the show is like, oh, I think she should win, then I don't know. And the fan
okay, so
like, ooh, like so and so only supports this queen, so she clearly doesn't like the other ones or don't support it. Like that's not true at all,
Have you had like a favorite like look or favorite performance from this season? I haven't seen it, but I will eventually.
I don't want to talk to you about a show that like you don't watch.
Well, I got really invested in Project Run. Was that what we watched today? Project Runway?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really good show. I'm the type of person that could watch like the middle of a season and like still get invested into it. I just need like an opportunity to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to watch the episode of All Stars after we're done recording this?
Because if there's spoilers, it's going to be like no tension. Because I already like know the ending, so.
Oh wow! So you really are the type of person that needs to not know, huh?
Because Because I like watching it, and then just based on like how like things are edited, I like to trigger for like, oh, the editor is like showing this contestant crying, so either they're winning or like they're being eliminated, just things like that. It's a fun game that I like to play with
Mm,
myself.
yeah,
And
yeah.
you took that chance for dopamine away from me.
Ah, so sorry. So sorry.
It's okay.
Well, we had lots of dumplings today.
Oh, the dumplings were very delicious. So this whole week, we've actually been eating a lot of Chinese food because one of my good friend Diana,
Mhm.
she's Chinese and her mom is a phenomenal cook, and she's visiting and she's staying with Diana for a month or so. And every time we go over, her mom cooks so much food.
And she cooks
Like to the point
excellently.
where there's like so much leftovers and everything is really good. But like we're literally like waddling out of there.
Yeah, like just rolling out. I think she made what 350 dumplings handmade, including the wrapper today. We didn't eat them all, but like, they like to make them and then freeze them later on, so they have dumplings, like pre-made, pre-cooked dumplings to quickly like make in the microwave and stuff, which you can do. And we just got to eat our fill out of that 350. And I think like between how many people there were there, like six or seven?
No, no, there was actually 8 people.
Oh yeah, that's right. Honey joined us after. Um, how many dumplings do you think you eat? I think I could have eaten more, over 50 easily.
Oh my god, I don't know if I ate that many, but I mean, these are very like hearty dumplings. They're very dense, but in like a good way.
Yeah, yeah, they were
Like jam packed with ingredients. There
substantial.
was like a shrimp and chive one, and then there was like a pork, and there were chives in there, but it was also very like gingery.
Hmm.
It was so good.
So soft, and everything was like handmade, including the wrappers. So it was like just that perfect, slippery, chewy. Oh, it was phenomenal. And because like it was the wrapper was handmade and not store made, like you could stuff them and they would stretch. So they were just like totally stretched out. It was just so good.
And obviously, there's many different ways to prepare dumpling. You can pan fry it, deep fry it, but boil it, you steam it. But there's something about like a freshly boiled dumplings that is like straight out of a pot and it's like boiling and you're like blowing on it like to cool it down. And then as soon as you bite into it, all the juice just like bursts into your mouth, and then you can taste like the soy sauce, vinegar, ginger, and then like the meat juice just like all coming together into this like one beautiful, like harmonious bite.
And there's something like just magical about boiled dumplings. It's so easy for like a restaurant to mess up boiled dumplings, especially if they're like
Hmm.
sitting in broth. Because ultimately, like, especially if you order them with other things, boiled dumplings can oftentimes get soggy and soft because they've just been sitting there the whole time. So it's easier, I think, just to make the perfect boiled dumpling at home, even if you make them by hand or even if you buy them pre-made. Like, it's all in the timing on how they
Yeah.
come out really nice. And there are some exceptions to this, of course, but like ultimately, I think the best boiled dumplings I ever had were always at home or someone's home versus in a restaurant.
Yeah.
This isn't to say like steamed dumplings, hand fried dumplings, deep fried dumplings, totally different ball game. But boiled dumplings, which is also the easiest one to make at home, like oftentimes taste the best at home.
I agree. Earlier in the week, her mom made all these like pigs in a blanket, but she like made the bread from scratch. And she also made these like grilled dumplings. I think it had like a similar feeling as the dumplings we ate today, but those are also
Mhm.
like different in a good way because like they've been seared. So one side is like crispy, and then you bite into it, and like the dough is like fluffy.
Yeah, they were pan fried. They were pan fried or pan grilled dumplings, but the inside was still like the same pork and chive, so it was like kind of sweet, kind of savory with that oniony goodness. But it was
Hmm.
crunchy instead of like soft and slippery, so it was like super good. And we had that for Fourth of July, which I'd never spent a Fourth of July in Los Angeles before. Um, I never really understood until spending that here what it was that like you always saw the PSAs for like veterans and dogs and people being stressed out in Los Angeles or stressed out in the 4th of July. I understand it now because like Los Angeles, it just sounds like a war zone. And it's super cool because there are fireworks everywhere and it's really pretty, but like it just like the noise is just everywhere. It sounds like the city is just like being raided. It's crazy.
Yeah. And when we were driving up like one of the streets, like the fireworks like literally being set off there, and it's really scary to look at. Like you could like burn to death.
It is, especially like a lot of them get the crazy professional fireworks, which I'm pretty sure they shouldn't be doing that. Some
Mm-hmm.
of them are huge, and it's very impressive, and it's kind of like a cool culture, like a cool city culture to experience. But at the same time, just like, oh my god, so many people are blowing off their hands.
Have you ever seen those like videos of like those like 4th of July fails where people like set up the firework like all over their home?
Those videos like give me anxiety. I don't understand. I mean, coming from Hong Kong, we've seen some pretty like spectacular fireworks displays. So fireworks were never really all that impressive to me here. And
Yeah.
so like I never thought fireworks were that big of a deal, and certainly not big enough of a deal to like put yourself at risk for. Um so, so those videos just freak me out a little bit.
Mm. So aside from these Chinese food today, let's talk about all the things you got to eat this week in LA.
Oh yeah. I've been here for so long. It's kind of hard to think of. Well, you made me that amazing seaweed soup. Was it the day after?
So for during 4th of July, we obviously hit a grill out like everybody else. We were with a lot of people who were like pescatarians and vegetarians, so a lot of the beef like didn't get ate.
Yeah.
So then we took all the beef home, and I washed the beef like to get like the spices that were under off,
Mhm.
and then I cooked it into like the Korean seaweed soup.
It was delicious. And we used the Wagyu that I had grilled the day before, and it was a
Hmm.
Wagyu steak. And did you ever
Yeah,
get a chance to try any of that soup?
actually I didn't.
Yeah. So you should definitely try it and eat a piece of the meat. So like you know how stewed meat can be like kind of tough when you boil it?
Hmm.
Because it was Wagyu, it was so tender. It was so tender. It was like really, it was cooked obviously well done. It was boiled, but it was so soft compared to like what normal stewed meat was. And I was thinking, it was like, this is kind of like, because we grilled it already, we got to enjoy it in the best way that we could. So it was not exactly a waste, but a lot of people would have said, oh, putting that meat in soup would have been a waste. But honestly, because it's so soft and tender and juicy, it made eating it boiled a really nice experience. Like it wasn't tough or chewy or anything like that. It was just, it had a bite and it was good. It was so good. And I was like, oh, so maybe even just like using these like super high quality meats in the most simple and like, I guess, cheapest way, it says something about it. I hope Wagyu becomes like a lot cheaper and more widely available for that reason, that people can start using it for, I guess, like not just grill type things. We could just start using it for anything. People already use it for burgers, and that doesn't really do much to it anyway.
I mean, I like to think that like the meat was tender because I cooked that soup with love and care and with my expertise.
That works too.
Oh my god.
You also made that my favorite like multi-grain rice,
Mm-hmm. Rice. Yeah.
which I used it the next morning to make a sashimi and ikura bowl for breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that you can get ikura delivered now from H Mart is so nice.
Yeah. Something about like ikra for breakfast, you know, like it's salty and fishy, but it's just like so satisfying.
Yeah, and it's rich, and but not heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of interesting breakfast, we got to eat Padma Lakshmi's sag this morning, as cooked by the Korean
Yes.
vegan. That was like celebrity on celebrity, and it was spicy, and it was delicious, and it was vegan. And that reminds me that we had vegan pizza the day before with the Korean vegan, and that was so nice. And eventually, I hope she invited you to go on her podcast. I hope you go on. She's amazing.
Yeah, I would love to. And also earlier this week we had Korean barley rice.
What was the
This
place
place
called?
called Porikoge.
That was like I probably the most special experience I had here, and I probably will have here on this trip.
So if you've never had like a Korean barley rice combo before, it's called Yarmu bibimbap. Basically, you get like a giant bowl of barley rice, and then on the side you get like a mountain of different side dishes. But these aren't just like any side dishes. These are like, for the lack of like better word, and being cheesy, they are made with love. You could tell that like everything was like made freshly. Everything was like made in the house that they're using like the best ingredients they possibly can. And you don't get like just like one or two side dishes. You literally get like 10 side dishes. No, with more than 10. We posted a picture on our one for the table like Instagram. Like feel free to go check it out. First they start you off with a little sweet pumpkin porridge and toasted rice water and some like crispy seaweed. And then after that they bring the barley rice and like a giant platter of side dishes. Just like more side dishes than you'll see at any restaurant. And each side dishes all taste like perfect and delicious. And like a little sesame chicken stew. And also like a fermented bean soup, and then also like more like salads. And basically, you take all the side dishes and you can add much of it if you want in the barley rice bowl, and you mix it all up. And it tastes so delicious and it's so healthy. And you feel full, but it's like not a gross full. It's like a satisfying full.
Yeah, you definitely feel like you can't eat anymore, but you don't feel bad. It's all like fermented stuff, and it all just feels so fresh and so good. You
Hmm.
again, you're satisfied, but you're not heavy. But we also had the marinated crabs, which were excellent there too. It was spicy.
I'm so happy that spicy marinated crab like went viral on the social media. It's like a highly thought item, like for yeah, like a lot of these like foodies.
Oh,
Like, have you
nice.
never seen those like spicy crab pools where they like squeeze the meat
No,
out and all that?
my TikTok has not been serving me very good content lately, but I'm on Threads, and Threads is really fun. Has been fun for the past couple days.
Okay, so let's talk about Threads.
Okay.
So obviously, like Elon sucks,
Mm-hmm.
Mark Zuckerberg sucks,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like the general consensus Elon sucks way more,
Mm-hmm.
and people have been like looking to escape Twitter for a while, and
Yeah.
everyone was like searching for like the new app, and it's
Yep.
been annoying for me too because every time a new app comes, I have to like go and like quickly register like my username so it doesn't get taken.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the way Threads did it, because Mark Zuckerberg already like owns Facebook and like Instagram, it's like, well, these accounts are connected, so like you get your username on here.
Yeah.
And they just made it like so easy for everyone to like transfer over. Like it just seemed like it doesn't feel like you're like starting over.
Right.
It's like, oh, all my friends are already on here. Oh, all of my friends are like already following me again. So I mean, like that's kind of like a smart business move on Mark Zuckerberg's part.
Yeah, for sure. He saw an opportunity because Twitter is an actual cesspool slash dumpster fire, or at least like the child of a cesspool and a dumpster fire. And he understood that, oh, okay, so there is some money that could be made from this. Twitter was making money off of ad revenue before Elon took it over and fired everyone, and now it's hemorrhaging money. Um, but with that being said, like it just needed to be a place that wasn't toxic and fascist, and just a place that was fun to be on again. And being on Threads these past couple of days, it felt like day one of camp. Everyone was so happy. Everyone felt so like liberated. It was a breath of fresh air. Even though everyone was like, this managed to be like Zuckerberg's biggest glow up since freaking Facebook, just because like people wanted out of Twitter so bad, but there was nothing else. Everything had like a code wall that you had to get into. You couldn't get into something unless you had a code from someone else. This one, it was like everyone, everywhere, all at once was on Threads, including brands, including. So ultimately, like, I think it's going to do really well. I've missed being on Twitter. Like, I'm still on it, but I didn't use it as much just because it wasn't a good place to be on. But now it's just it's a breath of fresh air. And all the people that were good on Twitter and the people that were like, kind of like Twitter celebrities and stuff, they're all drifting back to Threads. And yeah, it's just nice.
One thing that I am fearful though is just based on Mark Zuckerberg's history and the way he ruined Facebook and Instagram, I feel like he's just like waiting to like get the users on Threads, and
Mhm.
he's gonna try to find some dumb way to like monetize,
Yeah.
which is like inevitable.
Yeah.
It could happen like next month. It could happen a year from now on, or maybe a couple of years from now on. But it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
By then, it's gonna be like too late to like go anywhere else from Threads. You know?
I mean, I'm still also on Spill. Spill is really fun too. Spill was made by two Black Twitter employees who got fired, and they made one, and it's like mostly Black Twitter just like flock to it, and it's just like a party there all the time. It's got like a Tumblr / Twitter vibe, so a lot of people communicate with GIFs and photos and videos. It's really really fun over there too. But that being said, Threads is open to everybody. Like, you know, there's no waiting list or anything like that. I'm not really sure that Zuckerberg was responsible for like the downfall of Facebook. I think the boomers kind of ruined it, just because it slowly became a toxic place on its own. Zuckerberg, I'm not defending him because he still like sold everyone's information, and he's like responsible or had a hand in like what is that? What was that company that sold information during the elections or whatnot? Cambridge Analytica, that whole fiasco. Yeah, that's still like all him, and he still does look like a Borg, but he did this right. He messed up the metaverse. Uh, he put all of his money in the metaverse, and like his hit product this past year happened just to be like a Twitter clone. But he's good. I mean, you can't say he's not good at copying other people's stuff.
I mean, all social media to a point, you know, they all just copy each other, right?
They do.
Like the way like Mark Zuckerberg like dissolved Snapchat pretty much.
Yeah.
Which is all to say, like, follow me on Threads. I'm pretty funny, and Kim's just famous, so.
Oh my god, shut up. There's more to me than fame.
It's true. You're also shady.
Oh my god, there's more to me than just being shady.
You are famously shady on Twitter. Come on.
I just tell it like it is. And Jon is notorious for doing it like the old people way, where he'll tweet something and then he'll make a video of his exact tweet, like word by word, and then he'll just like, make a video of him saying his tweets out loud.
Listen. That is called...
I'm listening. I don't know why you're yelling at me. I don't know why you're getting all angry.
I work smarter, not harder, and I happen to be a writer. So naturally, if I just, you know, recycle some of my content, you recycle your content too.
Not in the way you do it.
Oh.
And I was like, Jon is like repeating this tweet. He must have really loved he must have really loved that tweet.
Well, you know what? They oftentimes do well on their own right. So if one is funny as just a written tweet and the other one is funny as a performed video, then who am I to? And also, they don't even like cross-pollinate. Like, you know, there were no Gen Z people on Twitter, so half of them didn't even get to read that thing.
Mm.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. All right, should we take a quick break?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, let's do that.
And just like that, welcome back to One for the Table. All right, so Jon, do you have a sweet tooth?
Yeah, so over the break, I had 2.5 cookies, and they were... Wait, what's the brand called? This isn't sponsored. I just really do.
Brady's Bakery?
Yes, Brady's Bakeries. And they weren't bad, but I just have an issue with insomnia cookies, these cookies, any kind of cookie, even the nicer ones from like the fancy bakeries. What is the deal? Why are they always so sweet? They're like too sweet, painfully sweet.
Same with like crumble cookies. Have you had the crumble cookies that are like super popular?
I don't know, but I imagine they're probably
super popular because like whenever I see in social media, people are always like slamming. It's either like aesthetic influencers saying like, oh, I got to try these cookies from Crumble Cookies, or like people keeping it real saying like, oh, these cookies are garbage. But anyways, my personal experience with Crumble Cookie was like mind-numbingly sweet, which like overly sweet things are fine if there's like a nuance to the sweet, but there wasn't like a depth to any flavor. It was just like pure sugar high.
Yeah. Do you ever get that thing where you're like, you have something is so sugary that it almost burns your tongue?
Yeah. And when it comes to sweets, like I need a little depth, like I need like a little balance of
Right.
sweet and salty, or I taste like a little
Nuance.
butter,
Yeah.
or cinnamon, like any other flavor. It can't just be like sugar.
Right. And I can't tell if they're doing it because sugar is a preservative. Maybe cookies preserve or last better in delivery if they're like really, really sugary or whatnot, but it doesn't really matter. Like, yes, we bought these cookies because you were craving cookies the other day and you had to fulfill a minimum order, and I finished that minimum order. And they have all of these flavors, but they're all just variations of like really, really sweet. And it's not even luxurious sweet or rich sweet. It's like cheap sweet. It's just sugar. Not too much chocolate, not too much strawberry, not too much fruit, not too much oatmeal raisin or whatever. It's just sugar, and it's not pleasant.
I think that's just like the problem with like late night deliveries. A lot of the places that do deliver late night cater to like these crowds that are like looking for like high or drunken munchies.
True.
It's for the same reason when you're trying to get like a meal after 10 o'clock. In a lot of the cities, a lot of the only options that you get are like pizza, wings, and insomnia cookies and fast food.
Yeah.
And I think like a lot of these places, they care less about making like
something truly
like
delicious.
intricate flavors and like things that are like nicer, but more like let's load it with cheese, let's load it with grease, let's load it with salt, let's load it with sugar to satisfy people that are like drunk or high.
But like when we order it, we're not drunk or high, but we're craving it.
But we're like one in a million. Generally, like a lot of people who's ordering delivery
so
past 10 o'clock aren't people that's trying to like eat healthy,
Well, not even healthy. I just want something good. I mean, I would order cookies during the day, if they were good cookies. If you gave me something like a good salty, like an actually decent balance of like a salted caramel something.
And I'll say there are a lot of great bakeries that make great cookies, but those bakeries all close early and they sure aren't delivering after 10 p.m.
That's true. Maybe like Goldbelly could like hook us up with some good recommendations. If only we can get a sponsor.
I'm not sponsored either, but Goldbelly actually has like a great selection of stuff.
You can get Detroit style pizza delivered. You can get Buddy's Pizza delivered on Goldbelly.
You can also get like bagels from New York. You can also get like special items like, oh my god, this one time they sent me this delicious, oh my god, I don't even know how to describe it. Parts of it it was like 3 different types of pie stacked together as a cake.
Oh my god. That sounds amazing.
There was like a pecan pie, pumpkin pie.
So did you eat one slice and it was like 3 types of pie and 1 slice of cake?
Yes.
What the hell? That sounds ridiculous.
I was like, I have never seen anything like this, but this is cool.
Goldbelly was like my main source of gifts over last. When I say gifts, I mean like work gifts. Like I sent my managers and their assistants all like things from Goldbelly based on like what I thought they would like. So I sent somebody in California like a deli kit from New York. I sent the one in New York a taco kit from California, and then I sent some Detroit style pizzas to like the assistants. It was so convenient, and it was so like easy to make something thoughtful. And I think it's so much more interesting than sending like just booze or flowers or balloons.
You know what? I appreciate like flowers and all their beauty, but I do not appreciate getting flowers.
Really? That being said, I like receiving flowers.
No, like I completely understand. I understand like a lot of people love to like display the flowers in their home, and I don't know. I feel like my home is like decorated into like an inch of my life, and basically like every time I put flowers out, I'm just waiting for it to die, and then I toss it out.
See, this is I think where we're different. Like I definitely, when Jeremy O'Harris was like, I have a flower budget to like renew flowers every week, so it's like a permanent thing in his house. And I loved every time I go in his house, like walking into his house and seeing flowers. And I was like, I want to be a flower budget bitch. I want to have flowers in my entryway all the time. One day I will.
See, for me, like if someone's gonna give me flowers, I'd rather them just take that money and like, I don't know, spend it on themselves. Because, like flowers are expensive. And
they are.
And I appreciate them, but I appreciate them like in the wild or other people's home.
Yeah.
You know, like, and also like I'm rarely home anyway, so like I don't know. I don't really want flowers in my home.
That's also the thing. Like, you're not home enough to, like, let alone keep it alive, but by the time you get back from a trip, they're probably dead and moldy.
Yeah, and you're more
Yeah,
like a
no.
homebody. Like
I am
you're
totally a homebody.
so like maybe you appreciate the flower, and you also have someone to appreciate the flowers with.
Yeah, Little John likes
You know?
flowers too.
Like you have your partner, and I'm sure you guys like making the place look nice. For me, I'm just like another thing to take up space in my.
Yeah, hopefully someday I'll be a homebody with a flower budget. That would be so great.
I mean, you could make the flower budget.
I can't justify that right now.
It's just like using your resources in a different way.
I know, but I'm saving up for a Bottega bag.
Oh, I see. Oh yeah, John really wants the Andiamo bag from Bottega Veneta.
Everyone's talking about this bag right now, and I've wanted it for months. And now everybody has one.
John's wanted that bag ever since that first came out, and he was like, "Oh, that bag looks really classic. I want it." But he didn't get it. And then somehow in like the last few months, this bag became like the hottest bag like in the world. Like it became like the most sought after, like trendiest bag. And the design itself is very classic.
It looks so great. I mean, like, it's a bag that I could actually like see myself using every day. Like, it's got a tote quality, it's got functionality, it's really, really good looking. It would have been my first like
leather, so the more you use it, the more better it's gonna look.
Well, right now I can't afford it, nor will I be able to find it because everybody wants that bag anyway. I'll have to like look for the next thing.
It's okay to like popular things, John.
I like popular things, but if it's popular, it's hard to find. And I'm not spending any more money than it already costs on secondhand market stuff.
You just gotta find a good secondhand bag. Yeah, pre-loved, as they call it.
So if you're out there and you're looking to get rid of a medium-sized Andiamo in the chocolate brown, drop us a DM with the
Don't
price.
drop medium, drop John a DM. He's the one that wants to.
When I say us, I mean like the one for the table podcast, because we also need questions.
I mean, yeah, it might be better if you just like direct message John.
Maybe.
Since he wants that bag. But I hope one way or another, I hope your bag fantasies come true. Because the accessories are a window to a person's personal style.
Being your friend has really like opened me up to like these kinds of nicer things. I didn't used to pay attention to these kinds of things, but I definitely do now.
It's called elevating your taste level. When I first met John, he was carrying a raggedy Herschel.
You still call me Herschel sometimes, and there is nothing wrong. The Herschels are perfectly fine. I had like
Herschels are great bags; they're great quality. But the one that John was carrying was raggedy.
It served its purpose. It was a chest bag, and it worked very well.
Yeah, to showcase poverty. I'm kidding. I mean, obviously, people have to know that I'm joking, right? I'm not making fun of anybody in poverty. I grew up in poverty.
No, y'all are free to cancel her if you'd like. Just leave me out of it.
Oh, then let me expose all the problematic things John has ever said in the past.
Excuse me. Oh man,
Y'all should hear when John calls me on a daily basis when the cameras aren't rolling.
What do I call you?
I'm not gonna say those words.
Okay.
I'm not that kind of a person.
I would never call you anything bad. But yeah, I remember we had like one question on Instagram that was pretty good, and I'm pulling it up. One question sounds sad, which it is, but that's all we have. So we're going to go ahead. But we also got a mention from Padma Lakshmi, which is very cool. And she is amazing.
But
Wait, someone actually dropped... Oh my god, what is this photo?
Okay, focus. Find the question.
No, somebody sent a picture of you from 2016 in really old drag.
Do I look good?
I mean, you kind of look like Trixie Mattel.
So that's what happens when you have like limited reference to drag. You think everybody fucking looks like Trixie Mattel?
I mean, it was the big wig and the bow, and I think it was like Weren't you guys hanging out a lot together in 2016?
2016. I mean, we were working together a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe
I mean,
maybe you
of
were
course, we
doing
were hanging
something.
out too because we were friends, but then also
Yeah.
she was busy and I was busy and we were busy. Hashtag booked and blessed.
Here we go. Here we go. Hey, this is from Dylan. He says, "Hey, I have a question for the pod. I grew up avoiding tomatoes, but then I grew up to love them. What's either of your favorite tomato-centric dish?" You go ahead and take this one first.
I want to hear from the chef first. You tell me first, and then I'll tell you mine.
Tomato sandwich.
It is so simple, but it is also the most delicious thing in the world.
It is literally a celebration of the perfect tomato. Like
you take giant pieces of like an heirloom tomato, perfectly ripe.
Yes.
Don't refrigerate your tomatoes because they get mealy.
Yes.
But also don't let them sit on the counter too long so they get like overripe and mushy. Like just go to like a farmer's market or like a specialty grocery store and pick them up and make the sandwich that day.
Mm-hmm.
And you cut them into big, delicious, juicy slices. And then salt and pepper them. And then you get like a nice, crusty piece of sourdough. And then you're going to toast that bad boy. And after those bad boys are toasted, but also you don't want it too toasty. Because also you want like a little like soft fluffiness to like engulfed. You want to hog the tomatoes. Not like put the tomatoes like in between like a couple pieces of brick. So you just like slightly toast it so then outside is crispy and then inside is still like pillowy and bouncy. And then you take a mayo and you spread those bad boys with mayo all over. And it's okay to be generous with the mayo because we eat with our heart, like literally. And then you're going to place those tomatoes in between the two breads. And you're going to close up that bread and you're going to slice that bread in half. And you're going to open up and see those perfectly ripe heirloom tomatoes, just perfectly cut.
Yeah.
And you're going to take a bite of the sandwich thinking, wow, this is so simple and basic. But first, you're going to the first thing your teeth is going to touch is that crusty bread. And you're going to hear a little crunch. And you're going to munch down on that soft, pillowy bread next. And while your tongue is feeling the bread, your teeth is going to bite into that tart tomato. At first, it's going to be a little tart, and then all the juice is just going to burst in your mouth. And the combination of salt, pepper, mayo, and the tomato juice is going to work its magic inside your mouth. Just all coming together to this creamy, tart, tangy sensation. And that is why we love tomato sandwich in the summertime when the tomatoes are in season.
Yeah.
And use the good tomato. And you know what? If you can't find a good heirloom tomato, Roma tomatoes are fine. Any tomato, as long as it's perfectly ripe and it's perfectly firm. Hell, if baby tomatoes are all you can have, slice up those bad boys in half and put them in your sandwich. But what's really important is probably the bread, right?
I actually have like a favorite tomato varietal for tomato sandwiches, and that is it's called the Hungarian heart. They can be probably anywhere from like up to 3 pounds heavy just for one tomato, and they're in the shape of a heart, and they're like the perfect tomato for this because they're super flavorful, but like not too mealy and not too watery. And I'm kind of torn on the bread thing though. Like on one hand, yes, I love a toasted sourdough. I like a little like pumpernickel. Toasted pumpernickel is great too. But I also like plain white bread or Japanese milk bread toasted. Like a softer bread. Like that's also like kind of satisfying. Like sometimes I want that crunchy toastiness, but sometimes I want just like soft white bread. Like I don't want any resistance whatsoever.
I mean, what I described was basically my preference.
Oh,
There's
for
no
sure.
wrong or right way to make a tomato. As long as you have bread, mayo, and tomato,
Yes.
like there's no failing. Just get whatever of each, from the category that you like. You
I
can use
definitely would
Kewpie
not make one
mayo,
of these.
Hellman's mayo, homemade mayo. Hell, use Miracle Whip if you're into that because you're a psychopath. Like,
Oof.
do what makes you happy.
But I definitely would not make this in the wintertime. Like they have to be summer ripe tomatoes. Like they
I feel
have
like
to be
wintertime
in
is more
season.
of like grilled cheese and tomato.
Yeah, I can see that. That's fair.
Because, grilled cheese itself is very, like, rich. But then when
Rich.
you add that slice of tomato and you grill it, the tomato provides all the moisture and adds that tang to your grilled cheese.
But also you have to remember that not everyone lives in California. And like tomatoes are truly awful in like cold places in the winter.
That is also true.
Yeah, like there's a reason why a lot of people in cold areas and cold states like just don't like tomatoes. They just really have never had a decent or good tomato in their entire lives.
I guess if you don't live in California, you know what else is a good substitution?
What?
Raw onion. But
Raw onion?
sliced. Raw onion on the grilled cheese?
Oh, I was about to say like with mayo and white bread.
No. Like on the grilled cheese. Like
Oh
sliced white onion.
yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Because it's good in the same way that like putting onions in a smash burger is good.
And you know what else is good in grilled cheese?
Curry.
You put curry in everything.
I do put curry in everything.
But pickles.
Yes. Yeah.
Pickles on grilled cheese.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Do you like sweet pickles or do you like just salty pickles?
I like both. But like with different things. I guess if I'm eating like barbecue or something,
Yeah.
I prefer like sweet pickles. But if they're going to be like, if I'm making like, I don't know, egg salad or burger or, just like something like savory, then I like tart pickles.
Yeah. I think for snacking, I like tart pickles, like butter pickles and stuff like that. I can eat butter pickles on its own. I can't eat a salty pickle on its own. I needed to eat it with something.
Oh, I could eat a salty pickle on its own.
And no, that's too much for me.
Have you seen like the that new hot dog at Disney that everybody's like raving about? It's a corn dog, but inside of it, it's a whole pickle. In the middle of the pickle, there's a hot dog, and you dip it in peanut butter.
What? Whoa. Okay. At first, it sounded like a pickle hot dog turducken thing, and now it's in peanut butter too.
I know, right? I haven't tasted it. I can't imagine what it would taste like, but then also I can at the same time.
Peanut butter pickle hot dog.
Corn dog.
Corn dog. Peanut butter. So it's a hot dog inside of a pickle, inside of a corn dog, dipped in peanut butter.
Yes.
Well, I would probably just want a bite of that. I'm not sure I could.
I don't know if I want to eat the whole thing, but I would like a bite. I guess that's something you get and share with your friends just to try it out, right?
Yeah. It's probably one of those things where it's like maybe a lot of people could eat the whole thing, but I imagine it's just something that you would want to just taste. Maybe it works. I don't know. I honestly can't picture it.
Also, going back to the question.
Oh yeah.
I didn't answer what my favorite tomato dish was.
Wait, that wasn't your favorite tomato dish?
Yours was the tomato sandwich. I have given my answer.
Oh. I thought we both thought the tomato sandwich was the favorite.
No, I agreed with you, but is it my favorite tomato dish? Nah.
Oh, okay. Well, tell us your favorite tomato dish.
Okay. My favorite drum roll. I don't know why I'm making a big deal out of this. Drum roll. My favorite tomato dish is tomato and egg. So let me explain it for those listeners that aren't familiar with Asian cuisine.
With the Chinese stir-fried tomato and egg on rice?
Like Chinese style, soft scrambled eggs with tomato over a bed of fragrant jasmine rice. Now, there's many different ways to make this. Let me tell you how I make it, You don't have to follow the way. Everybody has like their own sauce. And, every family has like a different recipe for it. This is just how I make it. So I take 3 tomatoes. I cut 2 of the tomatoes into big chunks. And then 1 tomato, I chop it very finely and small. And then on a hot pan, it has to be like a hot pan. I pour in the eggs that have been beaten. And when the pan is hot, the egg like fluffs up a bit, and you quickly scramble the egg like while it fluffs up in the heat. And while the egg is like still like wet and it feels like it's like undone, you pull it from the heat. And then in that oil, you throw a little garlic, and you throw in the chopped tomato. Lower the heat, and then you saute it all together. And the tomato and the oil and garlic kind of like melt into like this thick sauce, almost like a tomatoey sauce.
Mm-hmm.
And then you add the eggs back into the sauce, and you lightly toss it. So then the eggs get coated in this like tomatoey sauce. And then you add the big tomatoes in there. And then you just like finish like, you don't want to saute it too long because you don't want the tomatoes to be mushy. Just like lightly salt it until like they're heated. And salt and pepper. You pull it off the heat. And then also I add like a little soy sauce when I'm like sauteing like the chopped up tomatoes too.
Yeah.
And some people like to add ketchup. Some people like to add hoisin. Some people like to add oyster sauce. Everybody does it differently, but that's just how I do it. And you put that on a bed of jasmine rice, and it's like the perfect combination of like creamy from the egg, and then like tangy from the tomato, and like soft and fluffy rice. I don't know, it's just delicious.
Yeah.
And it's just also like a very simple dish to make, but a lot of Chinese restaurants have it on their menu. And I always like to order it when I see it on the menu because I just like to taste like how that restaurant cooks it, because everybody does it slightly differently. And it's also a very satisfying dish to like share, and it's especially when you're eating like spicy Szechuan food, it's kind of like nice to have it aside, like a dish to like cool your palate down.
It's a school that a lot of like Chinese school kids would eat like during their lunch times in the cafeteria or after school at home, because it was something that was so easy, cheap, and like good to make. Yeah, I remember getting these. I remember eating that when I was younger, and it was always one of my favorite things. Tomato, egg, and rice is so good.
I think eggs might be my favorite protein.
I would agree. I think so too. I like egg. You know what? It's not that I like egg more than everything else, but I feel like I would miss egg more than anything else if I would have to eliminate it.
Like I feel like, and as much as I love like these proteins, I can live without chicken, beef, lamb, rabbit, fish.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I don't have a reason to eliminate them from my diet, so I don't. But if I had to, for whatever reason, like I wouldn't be as upset as if I'd have to give up eggs.
And egg is the most versatile too, because you could do a whole bunch of stuff with it. You can steam it and fry it. Yeah.
And Americans think like eggs are just for breakfast, but that is so not true. It can be eaten breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Little John and I eat omelets for dinner, omelets and rice for dinner all the time. And generally, for some reason, whenever we do that, we sleep really, really well.
Because it's like full and satisfying, but also it doesn't like
it's not
feel
heavy
and gross.
Yeah. And I think like the combination of like egg and rice has like the right amount of like fat, protein, and carbs where you're not craving anything over the course of the night. So like nothing diet based is like waking you up. It's weird to think that you need some carbs before going to bed, otherwise your body wakes up. But it is a thing that happens. So having like a balanced but light meal before bed, which generally is like almond rice, is like a perfect meal for that, is like one of the best things that we do for sleep.
And you take any dish and you add like a fried egg on top, and it just elevates the dish like so much.
So it makes it slutty. Like a fried egg on anything just makes it a little bit slutty. It's like so good.
Yakisoba, add a fried egg, slutty. Add like a curry rice, add a fried egg on top, slutty.
Slutty. A burger,
add an egg on top, slutty.
Slutty. Yeah.
Like egg is just, I don't know. Egg has so much power.
Right. It does. It is so like a croque madame. Is that the one with the they put the egg on top? Yes, because the egg is like kind of like even that. It made a sandwich not a sandwich anymore. Croque madames are sandwiches that you have to eat with a fork and knife, and it is so good because of that stupid egg.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I love me a croque madame.
And then even like it's good on top of fried rice. It's good on top of I don't know. And then also you can like boil it and like mash into like an egg salad.
That whole like the Chinese tiger eggs where they take boiled eggs and then fry them afterwards. Those are so good. That's so good
Oh,
too.
those are so good too because the outside is like
Crispy.
a little chewy, and then like inside is like soft and fluffy.
Yeah. And that's like an easy thing anyone can do. Is like all you have to do is like hard boil an egg and then like literally fry it in oil. And then it gets like all brown and crusty at the top. And then you take that egg and then you toss it in whatever sauce that you want. It could be any kind of sauce, but where did we have it? It was
Oh, Diana's mom made it for
oh yeah,
us.
Daya's mom made it. Daya's mom made it and she put it in the Hong Shao
The pork.
yes, the twice cooked pork belly sauce. And that was so good. Oh,
Egg just has the power to make anything feel more substantial while being so cheap, while being so versatile.
yeah. Well, it's not that cheap anymore, but
Oh,
And
it's
this
still
is pretty-
cheap in certain places.
Yeah.
can you believe that it was as expensive as it was during like when the bird flu hit all of the egg farmers?
I actually heard it wasn't a bird flu.
It was. They killed them all because it was the bird flu that was going through all the factory farms. So they had to kill them all before they started affecting people again.
So sad. Well, at least chickens reproduce at a crazy rate. So.
They do. If it weren't for factory farms, if it weren't for like the terrible way that they're raised, chickens are actually like the most eco-friendly form of animal protein. One of the most.
Which
That's
is
why I
weird to
don't mind
think
like
of.
spurging extra for like
Good chicken.
good chicken eggs.
Yeah, pasture-raised chicken and pasture-raised eggs. So nice.
That was the answer for that was the tangent that we went off of talking about tomatoes.
I love eggs. Can we have eggs for breakfast tomorrow?
Yes, let's have eggs for breakfast tomorrow. And that is our show today because that is our time.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening to us rambling as usual. If you like what you heard, you can follow us on our One for the Table Instagram. Follow, share, like, subscribe. Follow us on Threads if you want. You don't have to, but you're a hater if you don't, and we don't like haters. And also, Jon has this book that's on pre-order right now, just coming out in October.
Oh, you remembered.
You
I
should.
did not. Thank you.
You should order his book that he doesn't want to talk about for some reason.
I totally forgot that I have to promote my book. Yeah. So my book, Kung Food by John Kung, is available for pre-order now. And yeah, pre-orders are always really helpful to the writers.
And also, I would love to see like Asian chefs cookbook hit #1 or New York's best time seller or some, like it'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I mean, well, Eric Kim did manage to do it with Korean American last year. That was an amazing.
Well, I'd love to see it over and over again. It just doesn't end with Eric Kim.
Okay. Yep, please pre-order my book. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Good night.